I don't know.
Hi. Your drawings got erased. I'm sorry. Nate
Oh no.
Nate erased them. He erased his own too. And he drew Corey, but he erased that before I could get a picture of it or anything. I know, it's such a bummer. Yeah. I think about you all the time.
Just let me know when I can.
Oh, I didn't finish this. Shoot. Uh, Mars the 5th. Hope this works. It looks great tonight. I think about you all the time. What have I done? What did I just do? Oh, that's not what I wanted. Hi.
Uh, I
Just
would say today's going good, but it's not.
what?
I would say today's going good, but it's not.
It's not.
Oh, it's like police have the whole block taped off.
For what? What happened?
There was a shooting uh near my house and at this place called Momart, like a few blocks away.
Oh my goodness.
So yeah,
That's rough.
I just came back from just had to give a few statements.
Wow. Is
Yeah,
everyone like, did anybody get killed?
yeah, but it was at the Momart.
My goodness. That's tough. All right, let me check and see here. We're still missing Trinae and Victoria. We'll give them a minute here before we get started.
But yeah, I think like the gunshots was like so loud. It started like when they was just driving around. I knew something was gonna happen because like they keep on drag racing in my house, and it's like it's a bunch of we know it's young people because it's all it is a bunch of old people around here, other than me and my mama.
Oh, so they just come there to race because they
Yeah,
know
like,
there's
like they like my like where I live is like Scarsdale, Bonaparte, Marcellus, and they'll start on Scarsdale and they may end on Marcellus.
Hmm.
And it's like, why? And they do this all during the day. It's worse like when it's late at night or like holidays and stuff.
Here comes Trinae. Victoria. All right. Let me go ahead and get you guys attendance in. Darren, no Victoria. There's Kyla. Okay. So today, actually, let me plug this in. We're gonna watch a video before we do our assignment. Okay, so on Canvas, I have published this assignment that's called RIP, Ethos, Logos, and Pathos. And I'm gonna pull it up here and then show it to you guys. I'll share my screen so you guys can see it. The whole thing with using Pathos, Ethos, or logos is that a lot of times just saying the author uses ethos isn't really enough. It doesn't really tell enough of the story. It doesn't really explain the effect as well. And so there are a lot of AP English teachers who specifically tell their kids, do not use the words ethos, logos, and pathos. I'm not going to go that far. I think they can be used effectively. But if all you say is the speaker uses ethos, you're not pushing that far enough. We need to know what that entails and what the effect of it is. So we're going to listen to a shortened version of Joe Biden's inauguration speech. The actual thing is like 22 minutes, and I don't want to listen to the whole thing. So I found a video that's like highlights of it, and it says some of these things. So this assignment it's got several quotes from his speech, and the quotes will be on the left side, and then on the right side it just says the speaker uses logos, pathos, ethos, whichever of the three is evident in that particular quote. And what you're going to do is replace the phrase the speaker uses ethos or logos or pathos with a more thoughtful rhetorical analysis of that appeal, without using the words ethos, logos, or pathos. You're going to analyze how and for what purpose those appeals are employed. So let's look at this first one, and then we'll watch the speech or the shortened version of it, and then I'll give you all time to work on this. So this first quote In another January on New Year's Day in 1863, Abraham Lincoln signed the Emancipation Proclamation. When he put pen to paper, the president said, and I quote, "If my name ever goes down into history, it'll be for this act, and my whole soul is in it. My whole soul was in it today. On this January day, my whole soul is in this, bringing America together, uniting our people, uniting our nation. And I ask every American to join me in this cause." Now, I will say, probably any of these quotes that we're going to look at could use pathos, but this one specifically is using ethos. And we know that because he kind of compares his feeling to what Abraham Lincoln said his feeling is, which is obviously really powerful given the fact that Abraham Lincoln is like widely known or recognized as like one of the best American presidents because of everything that happened surrounding Civil War. So rather than saying the speaker uses ethos, we've changed this a little bit to further analyze that. And we have said Biden appeals to his American audience's sense of patriotism and their reverence for Abraham Lincoln by comparing himself to Abraham Lincoln. Lincoln ended slavery and brought the country back together again after the Civil War, and Biden is comparing that to the work he has to do with promoting racial justice and uniting a politically divided population. Biden also presents himself as a consummate American by displaying his knowledge of and respect for one of our greatest historical figures. A great analysis of how he uses ethos without just saying he uses ethos. And this is better than just saying he uses ethos. Like we know that, but what's the effect of it? How does he achieve that? By appealing to their patriotism and their reverence for someone really important and really revered in American history. So that's pretty cool. Let's watch the video and then we'll just go through each of the quotes and kind of see how they use the different appeals. And then I will give y'all time to work. All right, so this is about 8 minutes and it's obviously like really shortened, but it's got some of the quotes in it.
On this hallowed ground where just a few days ago, violence sought to shake the capital's very foundation, we come together as one nation, under God, indivisible, to carry out the peaceful transfer of power as we have for more than 2 centuries. We'll press forward with speed and urgency, but we have much to do in this winter of peril and significant possibility. Much to repair, much to restore, much to heal, much to build, and much to gain. Few people in our nation's history have been more challenged, or found the time more challenging or difficult than the time we're in now. Once-in-a-century virus that silently stalks the country has taken as many lives in 1 year as America lost in the fall of World War II. Millions of jobs have been lost. Hundreds of thousands of businesses closed. A cry for racial justice, some 400 years in the making, moves us. The dream of justice for all will be deferred no longer. A cry for survival comes from the planet itself. A cry that can't be any more desperate or any more clear. And now, the rise of political extremism, white supremacy, domestic terrorism, that we must confront and we will defeat. To overcome these challenges, to restore the soul and secure the future of America, requires so much more than words. Requires the most elusive of all things in a democracy. Unity. Unity. Today, on this January day, my whole soul is in this. Bringing America together, uniting our people, uniting our nation. And I ask every American to join me in this cause. I know speaking of unity can sound to some like a foolish fantasy these days. I know the forces that divide us are deep and they are real. But I also know they are not new. Our history has been a constant struggle between the American ideal, that we're all created equal, and the harsh, ugly reality of racism, nativism, fear, demonization have long torn us apart. The battle is perennial, and victory is never assured. Through Civil War, the Great Depression, World War, 9/11, through struggle, sacrifice, and setbacks, our better angels have always prevailed. In each of these moments, enough of us have come together to carry all of us forward. And we can do that now. History, faith, and reason show the way of unity. We can see each other not as adversaries, but as neighbors. We can treat each other with dignity and respect. We can join forces, stop the shouting, and lower the temperature. Without unity, there is no peace, only bitterness and fury. No progress, only exhausting outrage. No nation, only a state of chaos. This is our historic moment of crisis and challenge. Unity is the path forward. And we must meet this moment as the United States of America. Politics doesn't have to be a raging fire, destroying everything in its path. Every disagreement doesn't have to be a cause for total war. And we must reject the culture in which facts themselves are manipulated and even manufactured. Here we stand, looking out on the great mall where Dr. King spoke of his dream. Here we stand where 108 years ago, at another inaugural, thousands of protesters tried to block brave women marching for the right to vote. And today, we mark the swearing in of the first woman in American history elected to national office, Vice President Kamala Harris. Don't tell me things can't change. And I pledge this to you. I will be the president for all Americans. All Americans. And I promise you, I will fight as hard for those who did not support me as for those who did. We must end this uncivil war that pits red against blue, rural versus urban, conservative versus liberal. We can do this if we open our souls instead of hardening our hearts, if we show a little tolerance and humility. We're entering what may be the toughest and deadliest period of the virus. We must set aside politics and finally face this pandemic as one nation. One nation. And I promise you this, as the Bible says, weeping may endure for a night, but joy cometh in the morning. We will get through this together. Together. Look, folks, all my colleagues I serve with in the House and Senate up there, we all understand the world is watching all of us today. So here's my message to those beyond our borders. America has been tested, and we've come out stronger for it. We will repair our alliances and engage with the world once again. Not to meet yesterday's challenges, but today's and tomorrow's challenges. And we'll lead not merely by the example of our power, but by the power of our example.
Yes, Moose.
We'll be a strong and trusted partner for peace, progress, and security. Look, you all know we've been through so much in this nation. In my first act as president, I'd like to ask you to join me in the moment of silent prayer over all those who we lost these past years of the pandemic. Those 400,000 fellow Americans, moms, dads, husbands, wives, sons, daughters, friends, neighbors, and co-workers. We'll honor them, becoming the people and the nation we know we can and should be. We're asking you, let's say a silent prayer for those who've lost their lives and those left behind for our country.
All right. So let's take a quick look back here at the other ones that you guys have to do on your own, which I believe there's 4 of them. This first one is kind of long, and what we're looking for here is logos and how we can explain that he's using logos without just saying it. Through Civil War, the Great Depression, World War, 9/11, through struggle, sacrifice, and setbacks, our better angels have always prevailed. That was in the video. In each of these moments, all of us have come together to carry all of us forward, and we can do that now. History, faith, and reason show the way of unity. We can see each other not as adversaries, but as neighbors. We can treat each other with dignity and respect. We can join forces, stop the shouting, and lower the temperature. For without unity, there is no peace, only bitterness and fury, no progress, only exhausting outrage, no nation, only a state of chaos. This is our historic moment of crisis and challenge, and unity is the path forward. And we must meet this moment as the United States of America. If we do that, I guarantee you we will not fail. We have never, ever, ever, ever failed in America when we've acted together. So on the surface there, logos is clearly being used because he's got this example, several examples actually, of like times when America has come together and prevailed through unity. Great Depression, World Wars, 9/11, all these other things. So how can we do the same thing to this one that whoever created this document did with the first one, and further explain how that's accomplished, what the effects are, why it appeals to the audience. The second one you're doing is a pathos one. This one was not in the video. Here we stand across the Potomac from Arlington Cemetery, where heroes who gave the last full measure of devotion rest in eternal peace. And here we stand just days after a riotous mob thought they could use violence to silence the will of the people. I don't know why there's a random 6 in there, sorry. To stop the work of our democracy, to drive us from this sacred ground. It did not happen. It will never happen. Not today, not tomorrow, not ever, not ever. This next one is Ethos. So pay attention to like how it's lending him credibility. Maybe reflect back about that Abraham Lincoln one and see how this could be similar. To all those who supported our campaign, I'm humbled by the faith you've placed in us. To all those who did not support us, let me say this. Hear me out as we move forward. Take a measure of me and my heart. If you still disagree, so be it. That's democracy. That's America. The right to dissent peaceably, the guardrails of our republic, is perhaps this nation's greatest strength. Yet hear me clearly. Disagreement must not lead to disunion, and I pledge this to you. I will be a president for all Americans. All Americans. And I promise you I will fight as hard for those who did not support me as for those who did. I wish I could go back in here and remove this random 6 and 7. I don't know why those are there, but and then lastly, and this one is pretty long, but this is a pathos one, which I sort of feel like pathos should be the easiest one. Like that might just be me, but I feel like that should probably be the one that's easiest to kind of analyze how it's being done. He says, look, I understand that many of my fellow Americans view the future with fear and trepidation. I understand they worry about their jobs. I understand, like my dad, they lay in bed at night staring at the ceiling, wondering, can I keep my health care? Can I pay my mortgage? Thinking about their families, about what comes next. I promise you, I get it. But the answer is not to turn inward, to retreat into competing factions, distrusting those who don't look like you or worship the way you do, or don't get their news from the same sources you do. We must end this uncivil war that pits red against blue, rural versus urban, conservative versus liberal. We can do this if we open our souls instead of hardening our hearts. If we show a little tolerance and humility, and if we're willing to stand in the other person's shoes, as my mom would say, just for a moment, stand in their shoes. Because here's the thing about life. There's no accounting for what fate will deal you. Some days when you need a hand. There are other days when we're called to lend a hand. That's how it has to be. That's what we do for one another. And if we are this way, our country will be stronger, more prosperous, more ready for the future. And we can still disagree. I like that one. I like that quote. And I feel like particularly with this first bit, I feel like it's really clear how he uses pathos. I'm not going to say any more than that because I don't want to like do it for you, but that one should be pretty clear, I think. Okay, so if you'll notice on Canvas, this is due March 5th, which is tomorrow. Your rhetorical analysis of the music video is also due tomorrow. So just to give you a heads up, tomorrow's class period is just time to work. Because I know these are both, this is only 4 things, but it can take a lot of critical thinking to figure out how to say what you're trying to say. So I don't think this is a thing that you could crank out in like 5 minutes. It's probably going to take a little bit longer than that. So I'm going to give you the rest of the class. I would encourage you to focus more on this and try to knock this out. And then tomorrow you can focus on finishing up your music video thing. Any questions about this? No? All right, then I will mute myself and let you guys get to work.